Okay, hello and welcome to this video in which I want to tell you a little bit about how you can submit entries to the Book of Statistical Proofs. Entries being either definitions of mathematical objects or proofs of statistical theories. So this is the website of the Book of Statistical Proofs, and if you click here in the top right, there's a contribution guide, and the contribution guide tells you how you can contribute to the StatProof book. And in this video I'm going to talk about level 3 here, that is adding a definition or a proof to the archive yourself. So as you can see here, you have to write a markdown file. This is because the Book of Statistical Proofs is based on GitHub pages with Jekyll, and the way Jekyll works is that you're writing markdown files, and these are then processed into HTML files, which are then being displayed in your web browser. Now, I'm actually going to show you a simpler way of writing such a file, namely by converting your LaTeX file directly into a markdown file which is almost ready for submission to the Book of Statistical Proofs. So let's switch to my favorite LaTeX editor. I'm here in Tech Studio, and I've here written a proof as a regular LaTeX file with text and equations and sometimes also links, so you can use square brackets and then round brackets in Markdown to create links. These will link to other pages in the Book of Statistical Proofs, but at the moment this is still a LaTeX file. I can compile that. If I compile that, I get what you see here on the right. Specifically, this is a proof showing decompositions of the variational free energy. So in variational base, the free energy can be decomposed into different contributions from prior, posterior, and so on. And if you are also writing your proof in LaTeX, it is important that there is a begin document and end document line. Everything else, for example, which packages you are using, is not important for what I'm going to show you next. If we're going back to the contribution guide, you can see that usually you would have to transfer your proof prepared in LaTeX into a markdown file by rewriting these template files. Yeah, there's a template file for proofs and for definitions. They contain a lot of metadata about which there's an additional page where it is being explained what information you should add into these meta files, and then you can also download the template from the website. We are not filling out this template piece by piece right now. Instead, we are using a Python script which is called create proof, and this is being contained in the StatProof book tools repository, which is available from the StatProof book GitHub profile. So this is a Python script, and to use this Python script you have to fill these 3 variables. The source directory is where your LaTeX file in which you have written the proof is being located, which in my case is this directory. Then as the source proof, you have to enter the file name of your LaTeX file. For me this is free energy decomposition, because this is a proof showing the decomposition of the free energy. Now, when it comes to the template proof, matters are a bit more delicate. So here the idea is that you choose a proof which is already in the Book of Statistical Proofs, and for which you have the markdown document on your hard disk, basically locally. Yeah? So there's a repository called statproofbook.github.io, and in the proofs folder there are a lot of markdown files corresponding to proofs. So what do you use as the template proof? For this, I'm going back to the contribution guide and open the table of contents. And my recommendation here is that you look into the section to which you want to contribute. In this case, this is the section Bayesian inference, because the theorem that I've just showed you is about variational Bayes. And then pick some other theorem from this section as your template proof. I'm going to use Bayes' theorem. Yeah? As you can see here in the bottom left, Bayes' theorem has the shortcut Bayes TH. So I'm going to enter this here, and what this does, I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm now running the script, and what this does is that a lot of metadata fields are already filled with the information corresponding to the section to which you are submitting, so that basically you only have to fill out these three fields here, which are left with placeholder triple underscore. If the template proof has been written by someone else other than you, you also have to fill out these three author fields, and you obviously have to enter your own GitHub username. So let's say I'm updating this now to my current affiliation and my current email address. You don't have to enter your email address if you don't want to. And my GitHub name is this. So as you can see here, everything that is in your LaTeX file between begin document and end document has been pasted into the body of the markdown file, along with some modifications which are necessary for using LaTeX on the website. And what you still have to do is enter the title of the proof, the theorem, which is how the proof is being displayed in the table of contents, and the proof ID. So let's go through these. The title of the proof is Decompositions of the Variational Free Energy. And theorem is what you see in the table of contents, how this proof is being called. So often this is a bit shorter version of the full proof title. In this case, we could, for example, call this decomposition of the free energy, and this is the text with which this proof will then appear here, for example. Yeah. So before we get to sources, which you don't have to but should fill in, let's have a look at proof ID. So in order to know the proof ID of your proof, you once again go back to the table of contents, and then here in the top click on proof by number. And this is a chronological list of all the proofs in the archive, and if you scroll down you see the proof ID of the most recent submission. So I'm going to take this and simply increment it by 1. This is then your proof ID, so the unique identifier of your proof. Now it is good practice to also add a source of your proof. In the case of this theorem, the proof comes from this paper, a primer on variational Laplace by Seidman and colleagues. I'm not saying that this is the go-to source for this proof, but it's the one where I have it from. So in this paper there's a very nice section called useful properties of the free energy, and it very nicely shows how the free energy can be partitioned into the different possible components. So I'm going to take this paper and enter it at the source of this proof. If you need help for this, you can go to the contribution guide and click on repository wiki, because in the repository wiki there's a page called citing conventions, and this page is very useful because it provides styles for citing journal articles, book chapters, web pages, and everything else that you can cite. And this means I'm simply copying the style for citing a journal article here, and then go back into the markdown file where I now have to edit these fields in order to make the referencing complete. So this paper was published in 2023 in the journal Neuroimage, and it's called a primer on variational Laplace, and this was volume 279, article 120, 310. We can now be a bit more precise and also add the specific position in the paper from where we have that proof. So that would be, in this case, page 5, equations 12 to 14. Good. Now every journal article usually also has a URL, which in this case is this one. There's also a DOI, which I can copy directly from here. And with that, I'm done editing the source of the proof. So with that, your markdown file is in principle ready for submission to the Book of Statistical Proofs. In the next step, I'm now going to show you how to actually make that submission. So you can go back to the contribution guide and open the GitHub repository, which is behind the website statproofbook.github.io. And when you're first contributing to this website, you have to fork the repository using this button here. I already have a fork, in other words, my own version or my own copy of this repository. So I'm simply changing to my existing fork of the repository. And you can read here that it has been forked from the statproof book version of the repository. First, before I'm going to add anything new to the repository, I'm going to bring it up to date. So you can see here that it is 2 commits behind the main repository, and therefore I'm clicking sync fork and compare. And then I want to merge from StatProof book into my own version of the repository. So I click create pull request and update to master. And since this should be your own repository, you should be able to immediately merge this pull request. Then you can go back to the repository main page and click on the directory P, which is the namespace for proof files. Here we now want to upload a new file. So we click upload files, and as the file we are choosing free energy decomposition markdown. This is the proof which we want to add. You can also, you should enter a title of the commit. So I'm simply saying here that I added this proof. You can add an optional longer description, but you don't have to. And then we commit these changes. So with that, the proof exists in the repository as a markdown file, but it's not yet being referenced. For that, we also need to add it to the table of contents. So we click on I, which is the namespace for index pages, and here we click on table of contents and then edit this file. And what we now have to do is we have to move to the section where we want our proof to sit in the table of contents and there add a reference to it. So in our case, this is the section on Bayesian inference here, and we simply copy one line from this section and add a new entry. So italics is for definitions and bold font is for proofs. So I'm switching to bold font here. And now I have to add the name of the theorem that I've entered here in the theorem field in the metadata. So decomposition of the free energy, and then this would be in the proof directory, and the name of the file is free energy decomposition. Okay. So now I can commit these changes. I'm here entering as a commit message that I have edited the table of contents index file and commit these changes. So if we now go back to our repository, it says that we are 3 commits ahead. One of these commits was updating to master, one of these commits was adding the proof file, and one of these commits was editing the index file. Now we can open a pull request. So next you should click on contribute and then open a pull request, which means that you ask for your submission being merged into the main repository. Once again, add a title for your pull request, and then as soon as you have finished the pull request, it should look like this. However, since you have no writing rights on this repository, you should not be able to merge the pull request. I have admin rights on this repository, so I'm able to merge this submission, which I immediately do. And then before we see how it looks online, I want to show you something else. So if you look into the contribution guide, it says that optionally you can also update the index pages before committing your changes. This means that one, you are editing the table of contents markdown file, which we have already done. And second, you run a Python script which updates all the other index files, such as proof by number, proof by topic, proof by author, and so on. So if you want to do this, you need to have the repository somewhere on your computer in order to be able to run the Python script update, which is contained in this file. So before I can do that, I need to refresh the repository on my hard drive, because I've done all these changes online inside the browser, as you have seen. And as soon as I've done that, I can go back to Python and then open this update script, which is located here in the website repository. And if I run the script, it should look like this. So you have some messages saying how many proofs have been found in the table of contents, and that all these proofs have also been successfully added to the other automatic index pages. If you then go back to GitHub Desktop or wherever you're tracking the changes of your repository, you can see that this program has made changes to the proofs. So there's another proof by this author, and it has also been added to the proof by number page and the proof by topics page. We're now going to commit this. Let's call it updated index pages. Commit to master. I'm now committing directly to the StatProof book version of the repository. You are committing to your own repository. And now that we have done that, we can once again go back to the table of content, move to the section where we have added something, and then hit refresh to see whether it worked. And we can see here it worked, so we now here have a new proof, decomposition of the free energy. And if we click on that, we see that there is a new proof and everything looks relatively fine. Good, so this was the introduction to the StatProof book and how to add proofs to the Book of Statistical Proofs. So I hope that you have fun, and should there be questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you very much.